All right. Well, as everybody's getting logged in here, we do have quite the crowd today. Today's topic is barcoding and how barcoding works in System 5. This is going to be the intro to the topic, and we'll have a workshop coming up shortly about it. In fact, let's look at what the calendar looks like. We go to the webinars and workshop slide there. Thank you. We're excited to get the virtual training program off the ground this year. We're in fact 3 rotations in now. So right now you're here, you made it to an intro to barcoding. Next up, we have a barcoding deeper dive that's going to be held on the 4:30. And then next webinar is going to be an intro to stock accuracy. So getting barcoding running now is going to help with stock accuracy later. And then, of course, we have a deeper dive on stock accuracy happening shortly thereafter. If we go to the next slide. All right. Before we dive into today's topic, I want to take a quick moment to set the stage. Over the past several webinars, we've spent time talking about things like trial balance accuracy, inventory cost timing, unbalanced transactions, and the downstream impact that those small process gaps inside of Windward System 5 can create. Common theme across all of those sessions is that systems don't usually break all at once. They tend to develop gradually as workflows change or a new staff member comes on, reporting requirements increase, or the system simply evolves over time. That's why I wanted to quickly highlight a service that some of you may not be familiar with. That service is our proactive monthly system review, and it's delivered by Windward Professional Services team. This is a structured, expert-led monthly evaluation designed to ensure that your System 5 environment stays accurate, balanced, and aligns with how your business operates today, not just how it was originally configured. As part of this review, our team routinely looks at daily processes and end-of-day workflows, unopened or unbalanced transactions, trial balance proofing, and account reconciliation data, data integrity and consistency. And then also they're going to check and make sure that you're on the latest version as well. You'll notice that many the areas directly connect to topics that we cover in these webinars. So in fact, there's a lot of best practices that we discuss here. And those are the same things that our professional services team would review proactively every month for customers enrolled in this service. The goal isn't to sell you anything today or distract you from this webinar. The goal was simply awareness. We wanted you to know that this is something that is available to you. So because for many customers, this kind of proactive review is what prevents the issues that we spend time troubleshooting later. With that context set, let's shift to today's session and take a closer look at barcoding, keeping in mind how these concepts fit into the bigger picture of system health and long-term accuracy. Over to you, Charlene.
Well, thank you very much, Kyle. I appreciate letting people know about this really important package that we have. So my name's Charlene, and if you've attended previous webinars, I've been running these and the workshops as well. I'm really excited to be here today to talk about barcoding. So barcoding is really a very efficient way, an efficiency that you can bring into your business. And just to note, as far as working within GoToWebinar, there is a question panel at the top. It's got a little question mark. If you have questions, type them in there. Kyle is going to be moderating that as I go through the presentation today. So again, thank you for taking the time. I will be respectful of your time, and we will finish as close to the half hour as we can. So let's dive in. Okay, so what does barcoding solve? Barcoding is going to speed up your day-to-day workflows. And just before I continue, of note, if some of you are already using barcoding in your business and you know the core concepts, here's an opportunity to learn some more efficient ways of doing things or some tips that you weren't aware of. And if you haven't implemented barcoding or partially, then hopefully you're going to get a lot of value out of what I'm going to go through today. So examples of ways that you can speed up your day-to-day workflows would be receiving your purchase orders, picking items, sales or transfers, doing your physical inventory count. You know, instead of typing through part numbers and searching through a list, you're really being quicker and less disruptive to be able to scan the items. The big savings is in your warehouse or busy showrooms where there's just lots to go through. And the key benefit isn't just speed here, it's consistency. And I'm going to tie that back to the benefits of this and how it becomes successful is in that consistency. Another option is fewer errors. So you can imagine that when you're typing in part numbers, in particular, if you've got part numbers that are similar, mistakes can happen. Barcoding can remove mistakes like transpose numbers. I do that all the time. Selecting the wrong number or skipping digits. If you have similar part numbers, you may select something and it's completely wrong, but you don't notice it. Where the barcoding becomes valuable is that it can match against one particular item, and that is the item that it's going to use. There's no interpretation required. And as long as the configuration and setup is there, then things are going to run much more smoothly. It can prevent, well, it won't prevent, but it can reduce preventable errors. And then, of course, your physical inventory counting and accurate counts. I was working with a customer that went through a recent inventory count, and it took them 8 days to be able to do it. Now, this is accurate counts, but also efficient counts. When you're doing pen and paper, and that's why the 8 days, mistakes can happen. If you're scanning, then you're actually scanning the right item. You may write something down wrong, or it's interpreted wrong when it's entered into the system. So really, it's around accuracy and the ability to be efficient with those counts. So that's really what barcoding can solve. Let's pivot over to customer pain points. So, if I haven't specifically had a recent conversation with somebody that told me why they don't want to use barcodes. And I don't think it's a matter of not wanting to use it, it's approaching it in the right way. We can have barcodes, but we don't really use them. And a perfect example of that is when you have a vendor that provides you with product and a barcode comes on the product that you purchase. You may have vendors that don't have barcodes on your product. So then you've got a mismatch. You've got some items that have barcodes, some that don't. So you have barcodes, but you don't really use them because you can't have a consistent process. Scanner failures during counts. Now, I know that it's easy to point to the hardware, but when we talk about the device itself, all it's doing is interpreting data. Now, certainly when it interprets a barcode on a label, it reads that as numbers or digits, and it sends that into System 5. And if the barcode is in any way torn, or if it's not fully intact, then you're going to get an error. So certainly that isn't the scanner, that comes back to the configuration and the data itself. And when things like that happen, staff can quickly lose confidence, and then they just don't want to. They revert back to what actually works, and that's typing in the part number. So I guess the point is that I think the failures of scanners can be attributed to the configuration. Not in all cases, because scanners can break down and fail. But and the barcodes not matching items, that again becomes around the process of implementing barcoding. And we're going to talk about the different ways that you can approach that as we move through our presentation today. Okay. So what does System 5 support? Well, at its core, item barcodes. When we're talking about barcoding, it's really around your inventory. But I've got a little surprise thing at the end of this. But item barcodes is really what we're talking about, but there are variations to that, as in serialized item barcodes. So you can have a barcode against an item. You can also have this ability to scan serialized items. And then that big nugget of manufacturer barcodes and internal barcodes. And which route do you want to take? And sometimes it can be a combination of both. The employee number barcode, opening a sales transaction. So this is not something that I'm going to cover in this topic because it's a bit on the fun side of things. But as an example, when I go into the bakery to purchase bread, the clerk behind the counter walks up to the till and scans a card. And I can't see the screen, but I'm pretty certain it's what I'm describing here. And we will cover it in the workshop, but it's more of a fun thing, and it is an efficiency. But you scan the barcode and it opens a transaction, so an invoice transaction, with the clerk already assigned. So you're saving some clicks there, and there isn't the trying to find my internal employee number and that type of thing. So a bit of a fun thing, but it is another way that barcoding can be used within System 5. Okay, so next we're going to talk, before we get into a product demo of a few things, I'd like to talk about the barcode scanners themselves. We have there's a link there. I know it's not going to be clickable in the video that you get, the recording, but there is a link to our supported hardware list. The hardware is a thing because different types of devices expire. They go end of life and then new ones come out. So we do take steps to keep that as up to date as we can. And there are 6 different point of sale barcode scanners that we support. And when I say support, that means that we've worked with them. We've validated that they do work within System 5. They're easy to configure, and we're not going to run into challenges with them. So take note of those if you don't have devices. And that's not to say that these are the only ones that work with System 5, not at all. Some of you may have, if you're already barcoding, some of you may have devices that are in use today that aren't on this list. But what this list is that we've worked with them ourselves. Okay. So next up, we're going to talk about where do barcodes live in System 5. Well, I think it speaks for itself, but against the inventory item record. Again, barcodes are just translated into numeric values, and they need to be stored somewhere. And that's key to the different workflows within the system. As long as they're tied to the inventory item record, well, then you have the ability to be able to do that scanning in different areas of the software. The serialized inventory, I'm going to show a short demonstration of that when we get to the product demo. But the unique value of that is that it allows the ability to very specifically, like serial numbers are unique. And in scanning that, there is no option for error unless the barcode is, again, not intact. But that really will save some steps, as I will show you. And then our labels. So printing labels with barcodes, that can be done if manufacturer barcodes are not an option. So then we're going to talk about the difference between the two, having our manufacturer barcode versus how we want to generate our own. And there's a number of options there. And then lastly, we have counting stock. Now, counting stock is not something we're going to go in great detail today. It is in the workshop, but counting stock really does allow for that scanning of the product to be able to bring it into a physical inventory count. The customer that I was working with that took 8 days, walking around with a sheet of paper that has been printed out from System 5 with all of the stock and identifying the items and writing down on the page how many are in stock, as opposed to just scanning. And the scanning is just so much more efficient, in particular around the stock counts. And just an extra note on that, later on I'm going to talk about the upcoming workshops that we have throughout the year. And just to tie it back, the way that we've approached the workshops is that they build upon each other. So in this example, we're talking about barcode scanning today and in the workshop in a couple of weeks. In a few months, we're going to be talking about the physical inventory count itself. And really the idea behind that is to prepare you all for the end of year. So you see how it can build on itself. If you're not barcode scanning today and you can get scanning in place, then in a couple of months, we're going to be talking about physical inventory count that you should then be ready for. And then that's going to set you up for a really successful end of year. Okay, so with that, we're at the halfway mark. So we're going to flip over into the product demo. So just bear with me because I do need to, with multiple screens, I just need to bring the demo up. Okay. Okay, so here we have our System 5 demo, and we're going to go with a few things. We're going to talk about where barcoding lives and the different fields and options that we have. We're going to talk about labels and then using barcoding at the point of sale. All right, so we're going to begin inside an inventory record, and we're going to take a tour into this sporting goods section and look at some darts. Seemed like something that would make sense to be barcoded. So we'll bring up this inventory record, and there are a few fields that I'm going to talk about that can store the barcode. Again, the barcode is an image that is interpreting values. So as an example, this part number, this could be presented on a label as a barcode. And when scanned, it would call to this item. So as an example of that, I'm going to tie the labels into it here. So if I was to come into the labels, and I will touch on label design in just a moment, but I've got two different labels that have been designed differently. They're designed to capture different information on the label itself. This one I named so that I clearly knew that it was the one that has the part number as the barcode. So when I select this, and I'll just do a print preview, taking note that our part number is D1700, and if I print this, I can make that bigger. The barcode in the center of it is showing the values that that barcode image is representing. So when we scan it, it's going to call to part number D1700. Alternatively, we have a barcode down here that is, it would be an example of a manufacturer barcode, where the manufacturer provides barcodes, and you've got two options when the manufacturer does that. Hopefully your, I say manufacturer, but perhaps it's your supplier, provides you with a price list or a catalog listing that includes your barcodes, and those can be data loaded in to System 5. When they're data loaded in, they will end up showing up here in alternate supplier. This provides us with a table that we can reference different part numbers. Now this one is the same supplier, but it is coded as a barcode. So that will be discussed in more detail for the label printing in the workshop, but this is something that is capable. And then when we choose to print the inventory label, so this one is not referencing the part number as a barcode, it's representing the barcode. You can do a preview, and now you can see that the value that it's capturing for the barcode is no longer the D1700, it is the barcode number. So those are two options, and I'll reference that when we look at the label, but just to take this one step further, we're going to go into a quick sell, and we're going to show the difference between selling those two. Now, I thought about a scanner, but even if I have a camera, it's still, I felt that there was value in showing you this little service, and this service is called the Point of Sale Device Manager. If any of you are familiar with this, it is the service that connects System 5 with devices. This is a simulator. So here I can simulate a barcode scan. And when I do that and add the part, that brings our D71800 onto the quick sale. So this would be how you would scan at the point of sale. Same goes if I was to enter in the 718-00 and do that simulation. Well, now I've just sold them out of stock. So it's demonstrating the barcode labels without us all being in the same room together of how that works at point of sale. Okay, so I'm just going to get out of here and just show you one more example with a serialized item. So within a serialized item, we're going to take a look at a TV set. When we talk serialized items, you're typically wanting to have the tracking of that for warranty purposes. So here we have a television set. And within here, we've got one that has a serial number. So we're just going to take a look at that. And although we're not barcoding ourselves the serial number, what this would be an example, and I'm just going to copy that, of a manufacturer that sends product to you, and on the product itself, there is a label with the serial number. I look at the bottom of my laptop and there's a barcode with the serial number on it. So that's kind of the example. And if we have that on the product, that is an efficient way of being able to sell by serial number. And there's no mistaking the serial number that you were selling. When you sell serialized items without barcoding, the process is you find the item, and then you need to select the serial number. So it's like a two-step process. But if I choose the serial number in here as a scan, it's going to find the part and already identify what the serial number is. So we're reducing steps with that process and just being able to auto assign the serial number. Okay, so I'll just quickly tender that. And then the next thing that I did want to just highlight is the label printing. Because again, when a company doesn't have all of the product that they purchase is not barcoded, you may want to have a mix of both, where you've got some use of the manufacturer's barcode, some use of your own internal, or you can just forget about the manufacturer and you barcode everything yourself. It's a lot of labels, but you can do it. So we're just going to take a really quick look at the form design and our inventory label. These are the two labels that I presented in a print preview. And if we take a look at them, what we've done is you can have a variety of different things that are included on your label. It's label design. There is some creativity to it, so you can see all kinds of things on here. Right in the center, this is an inventory barcode. Over here on the right, we've got a variety of different things that are barcode related. And it really comes down to your particular situation. And that's where professional services can help. Kyle talked about the package at the beginning, which is a great package, but we can also help with barcoding. And it becomes understanding what your particular situation is and what your objectives are. And then we can help you with building out these labels so that they fit with your workflow. So here, that is the barcode number. That would have been the one that would be the manufacturer. The one below is the barcode part number, where the D71800 would be presented on the label as a barcode. Okay. So that's label printing. And then the last one is just a bit of a teaser on the physical inventory count. So within the physical inventory count, as opposed to pen and paper, I am going to go through this a little bit quickly because there's a bit of clicks to get to where we need to go. But within a scan batch, which is really what we'd be doing, we would be creating a direct scan. And if we build this, we now have a grid. There's probably a better word for that, but where we can just start scanning now. So if I was to bring this back up and type in, I think I have one that is that barcode, and then you add it, that's what's going to happen. Now I had to type it in and hit add part, but if you're scanning, you're going through this very rapidly, and it's just building the list, and it will consolidate items. Okay. So I'm just going to minimize that now and come back to our presentation. So those were a few of the things that we're going to be talking about. Now, I am going to bring up one last thing. My quick tip. So with these webinars, I've chosen to add a quick tip with the software. And the quick tip today is around the quick list. Now, I've talked about the quick list before and the value of this, building this out, to build out your ribbon menu at the top. And what I want to talk about today is customizing in an external program. If you have a vendor portal or some site that you go to often, and it can make sense to have it just embedded into System 5 and it'll take you right there, that's what this is about. So I'm just going to save changes, and I've linked in, I'm going to run this one. So if I run the training, it's going to open on a different screen, so I have to drag it over. But this is, I've linked it to an external page, and this is our upcoming schedule. So today we're in barcoding, next is stock accuracy, and so on. There's the inventory count I was talking about and how we're tying those things together to build upon each other. So the quick tip is really around if there is something that you would like to link into that top menu bar that's external to System 5, a vendor portal, or a common website that you like to go to or need to go to. It's pretty easy to do. Back here in the customize, if we add external program, you're just pasting in the URL there and giving it a title, and it's as simple as that. So that's the fun, quick tip for today's session. Okay, so that's our tip of the month. And then, of course, our resources. Windward Self-Help, our knowledge base, lots of good content in there that gets built out often. And then, of course, the Windward Learning Academy. If you don't have an account for the Windward Learning Academy, there is content on barcoding in there. You could reach out to our customer care team. I'm sure they can help you with that, because we just need to get an account set up for you. Okay, so in our last few minutes, what we talked about today was really the foundation and awareness of what's possible with barcoding in System 5. What are the options that, and can you visualize it happening in your business, or a clear path? You know, if it sparked questions to like, how do I actually do this in my system? You can get more value out of the workshop, because we're going to spend more time. We're going to do a deeper dive, step-by-step procedures, manually creating barcodes, the label design, doing data loads, scanning barcodes for inventory count. We'll get deeper into that. And then, of course, we'll do that little employee label for efficiency. And with the workshop, we're also going to talk about a barcode readiness checklist that I can provide with as part of the workshop as well. Okay, so the workshop is April 30th at 9 a.m. Pacific. Again, we're going to be going through, I pretty much already said what we're going to be going through, but it is open. So questions can be asked. You can turn your mic off. We can talk about it. We may not be able to get in too deep of a dive of your particular data, but at the same time, we can have a good dialogue of conversations with other attendees on what barcoding is meaning and what the challenges that you have and how we can solve them in System 5. So there is a couple of minutes left. I don't know, Kyle, if there was any questions posted.
Oh, people figured out how the Q&A works today.
Okay.
So we've got a number of questions. Some of them are going to just be easy yes, no's. So I'm just going to go through the list here real quick. The first one is, I saw some of the options the barcodes can be used for. Is there an option to put list pricing on the barcodes? That should be through form design, right?
It would be through form design, but the list price really should be tied to the inventory item of the item that you're scanning. But if it's more about the label, then absolutely it can go on the label.
Yep, for sure. And then Todd was asking about the Zebra scanners, the TC21, 22 models. Those are meant for our Sidekick app. Those, I don't know that they're going to work in the same manner here. What do you think?
I would agree. They're more of a data collector type,
Yeah.
but I can't take that away, because there may be more capability that I'm not aware of. The TC21 for us has been designed for Sidekick because it gives that data collection capability, and then it imports into System 5. Perhaps it can, so we can take that away.
So it is compliant, but not necessarily for this purpose, probably. Then the next one was, how do you specify a part number and how the barcode as a barcode is set up on the label? Obviously, that was form design. There was another question from Ryan about multi-level / unit of measure barcodes. So he's talking about like a case box each example. Can barcodes be set up to identify those correctly?
I would think they would, because as long as we've got case breakdown being separate, unique parts, that's going to be key. Is because if we're barcoding, we want to be able to scan, and it associates to a unique barcode, to a unique part. So I see no reason why it wouldn't, but we probably need to have more information.
Yeah, okay. And then Rob asks, if you have a warehouse and sell serialized products, is it possible to sell the product without the serial number, but then assign the serial number when loaded on the truck for delivery?
Yes, that's outside of barcoding, but so you wouldn't be barcoding the serial number, but there is a way to do that. There's a setup that addresses that, and you actually have the serial numbers brought in as not the serial number, and it's the word assign. So there is config that goes along with that, but then the assign word is the trigger at the time that you put it onto an order, that's when you assign what the number is. So I hope that made sense.
It made sense to me. I'm not sure if it made sense to the asker, but we'll find out later. Rob is asking, can a shortcut be added in the cloud version to bring up a URL? I just don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that either, but that does bring up a good point in my quick tip today, because in the cloud, you don't have access to a website. So that's a good
that
call
may
out.
not work, but we'll have to review that.
I guess my quick tip was really for on-prem, so apologies to cloud.
Does Windward auto-create labels if price changes happen? There would just be a price change report or something that you could do that with, right?
Price change report, and then you'd print labels from that report, yes.
Digits can our system support when scanning a product barcode?
Sorry, the first part cut out, Kyle.
Oh, I'm sorry. How many digits does the system support for barcodes?
There is configuration. I think it's at 13, but there is configuration set up based on barcodes. So I don't know the exact number to that, but you do get a selection of the type of barcode that you're using.
Yeah, it just depends upon which barcode type. I think there's there's different standards for barcodes, right? All right, I think that was the list.
Okay, well, that was
Speed
good
Q&A.
engagement. Yeah, that was great. Thank you all so much. I appreciate the questions. I thank you for attending, and I hope you did find some value in the content today. I look forward to working with you in the workshop if it's something that you want to explore further. So thank you all, and have a good afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.